Today on News Pulse, Ukrainian drones hit Russian oil refinery in Bashkortostan. Laser weapons against drones unveiled. Slovak people protest against pro-Russian Prime Minister. Ukrainian drones targeted a petrochemical plant in the city of Salavat, Republic of Bashkortostan, Russia. As you can clearly observe, an oil refining unit of the said plant is ablaze. The distance to Ukraine's border is approximately 1,300 kilometers. Gazprom Neftekhim Salavat LLC is one of the leading petrochemical complexes in Russia. It is located in the city of Salavat, Republic of Bashkortostan, and is a large enterprise with a full cycle of hydrocarbon processing. According to information from open sources, the nominal capacity of the Gazprom Neftekhim Salavat oil refinery is about 10 million tons of hydrocarbon raw materials annually. This in particular stands for 4% of the refining capacity of Russia in general. Worth noting that the plant works with the complex raw materials, including both crude oil and stable gas condensate. The enterprise produces a wide range of products, that is gasoline, diesel fuel, aviation fuel, oil, bitumen, and various other petrochemical substances. The Russian drone attack on Poland on the night of 10th of September should serve as a wake-up call of NATO's European air forces. Despite optimistic rhetoric and increased deployment on the alliance eastern flank, the incident exposed actually a lack of preparedness for this kind of swarm UAV threat, even though the swarm was not even nearly as massive as those sent at Ukraine daily. It's not just that only about 4 of some 20 drones were shot down, it's how they were intercepted. If all 4 Gerber UAVs were shot down using AIM-120s, restocking the missiles could cost roughly $10 million. To compare, an approximate production value for a single Russian Gerber drone is around $10,000. Well, that produces a staggering 245-fold difference between the value of the target and the intercept, and that is assuming only 1 missile per only 1 drone. That is exactly why the Polish Minister of Defense is in Kyiv today, holding talks with Ukrainian counterparts about how to fight in a modern warfare of drones, how to protect themselves from an aggressive state that has mastered, actually, the ultimate strategy of modern warfare. Russia has made mass drone strikes quite cheap. Only one state on the planet has a similar experience in waging a defensive against Russian terror. For that defensive also not to cost a fortune, and that is Ukraine. So despite all political and historical controversy, Poland and Ukraine just must work together to survive as a sovereign states in the arena of contemporary geopolitics. Ukraine and Poland become military allies to be stronger together politically. As simple as that. And in an attempt to make modern warfare as cheap as possible, during the Zapad 2025 exercises on 16th of September, Belarusian forces unveiled a laser counter-UAV defense system named Shafran. The system, first reported publicly only in spring this year, was demonstrated, though, at the Borisovsky training ground north of Minsk, apparently as a part of a staged display for international observers and TV cameras. According to Russian state media coverage, the Shafran was used during a scripted scene in which Belarusian and Russian units liberated a village from a mock enemy. Beyond the theatrical elements, the exercise did include modern battlefield components, such as intensive drone use and assault teams on motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles. The Shafran reportedly engages small hostile UAVs out to a distance of about 1 kilometer. Its appearance in these drills is notable because, according to the Belarusian Ministry of Defense, the system was at the time of the show still in a single experimental prototype undergoing tests as recently as early September. All experts in one voice, however, suggest that the Belarusian Shafran laser is in fact a repacked Chinese solution. Almost simultaneously, Israeli defense firm Rafael has announced the completion of the main development phase for its combat laser system, Iron Beam. The final configuration, designed Iron Beam 450, has finished joint trials with the defense minister and is declared ready for delivery to customers. Well, first and foremost, of course, to the Israeli Defense Forces. Rafael says initial system integration will be completed by the end of the year. According to the company, the system already saw operational use, reportedly during the 2023 Hamas attacks, and has intercepted and neutralized dozens of threats. As said, the final Iron Beam 450 consists of two identical laser modules that operate in unison against a single target. Previously demonstrated variants used only one laser module, though the twin module design appears to address power, cooling and dwell time requirements needed to reliably engage incoming threats. Rafael emphasizes that Iron Beam can effectively intercept rockets, mortar rounds and even unmanned aerial systems, and has released a video demonstrations of these capabilities. The system is housed in a standard maritime container, simplifying logistics, transport and deployment, so shooting down drones like Ultimate Shahed has never been cheaper per drone with this system. King Charles III of the United Kingdom has expressed his support for Ukraine during a state banquet with US President Donald Trump. Amidst the pageantry and pomp of this week's state visit of Donald Trump to the United Kingdom, the issue of Ukraine stands out as an area that will indeed test the ability of Britain's legendary soft power to convince Trump to increase his pressure on Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. At a state banquet last night, Trump told gathered royals the second state visit was one of the highest honors of his life, while the king praised the president's personal commitment to finding solutions to some of the world's most intractable conflicts. In his speech that studiously avoided any glint of geopolitics, King Charles's even so fleeting mention of Ukraine, however small, stood out.
Our countries have the closest defense, security and intelligence relationship ever known. In 2 world wars, we fought together to defeat the forces of tyranny. Today, as tyranny once again threatens Europe, we and our allies stand together in support of Ukraine to deter aggression and secure peace.
It is a notable, if gentle, reminder to his guests that American participation in the Western effort to deter Russia's war remains a necessary and urgent imperative, even as Trump appears to waver on applying new sanctions on Moscow and seems, again, upset at Ukraine's leader Zelenskyy for not accepting a deal the way the United States wants it. King's words on Ukraine have not passed unnoticed by President Zelenskyy.
I extend my deepest thanks to His Majesty King Charles III for his steadfast support. Ukraine greatly values the United Kingdom's unwavering and principled stance. When tyranny threatens Europe once again, we must all hold firm, and Britain continues to lead in defending freedom on many fronts. Together we have achieved a lot, and with the support of freedom-loving nations, the UK, our European partners, and the US, we continue to defend values and protect lives. We are united in our efforts to make diplomacy work and secure lasting peace for the European continent. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, President of Ukraine, on X social network.
Also, the Centennial Agreement was signed by Zelenskyy. This agreement is of 14 articles. Number 1 of all, in all senses of the word, being Article 1, titled Strengthening Defense Capabilities.
The parties shall deepen defense cooperation, strengthen their military and defense industrial capabilities, including force development and collaboration between their defense industrial bases, strengthen Ukraine's defense procurement, and transfer technologies for joint production of defense products, including through joint initiatives, with a focus on innovation and strengthening intellectual property rights, protection of transferred technologies, and aligning with NATO requirements. Article 1 of the Centennial Partnership Agreement between Ukraine and the United Kingdom.
In a stunning rebuke to mounting Western pressure, Hungary and Slovakia have boldly declared they will not slash imports of Russian gas and oil, even if United States President Donald Trump turns up the heat. Well, according to Bloomberg, the 2 EU nations are drawing a firm line in the sand, refusing to jeopardize their energy security and national economies in what they see as a dangerous political game. Slovak Economy Minister Denisa Sáková did not mince words, warning that any sudden halts in Russian energy supplies could deal a devastating blow to Slovak industry and the economy as a whole. We cannot afford to jeopardize our economy for the sake of political positions, she said, according to reports. Meanwhile, in Budapest, Hungarian Minister Gergely Gulyás made a sharp statement. He said that Hungary would categorically reject any European Union initiatives that threaten the country's energy lifeline. Hungary will not back down, he said, stressing that no EU dictate and certainly no pressure from Washington will be allowed to undermine the nation's access to affordable, stable energy from Russia. This fierce pushback comes amidst Trump's lean on EU allies to further isolate Russia economically. But for now, well-known henchmen of Russia seem to be resisting. More into that in our report for you.
Enough of Fico. Slovakia is Europe. These were the slogans chanted in Bratislava and 15 other major cities across the country. The protests on September 16th became the largest since Robert Fico returned to power in 2023. The demonstrators' main demands are the repeal of laws that harm small and medium-sized businesses and for Slovakia to abandon its pro-Russian course. Last week, the government approved a package of harsh economic measures aimed at reducing the budget deficit. In 2024, it reached 5.3% of GDP, well above the EU limit of 3%. To address this, the government proposed raising value-added tax and insurance contributions. Protesters are also demanding the resignation of intelligence chief Pavel Gaspar, who faces allegations of corruption and illicit enrichment.
Fico is driving a controversial economic package through parliament that will raise taxes and social levies while sparing the country's oligarchs. Business groups warn it will punish competitiveness. Opposition leaders call it daylight robbery, adding fuel to the fire. Fico's government plans to scrap 17th November, the day commemorating the fall of communism, as a public holiday and a day off, a move widely opposed by the opposition and people. From a Slovak Spectator publication.
The previous wave of anti-government protests was sparked by Fico's trip to China, where, for the third time since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, he met with Vladimir Putin. At the military parade hosted by Xi Jinping, Slovakia's prime minister was the only EU leader in attendance. The visit drew sharp criticism from both the Slovak opposition and EU leaders. In response, Fico lashed out, accusing Slovakia's allies of short-sightedness.
I personally regret and frankly do not understand why Slovakia was the only EU country represented in Beijing. A new world order is emerging with new rules of a multipolar world, a new balance of power. This is crucial for global stability. Taking part in such discussions means dialogue, not playing the role of a sulking child. That is exactly how the EU and its representatives are behaving right now.
Four opposition parties, Progressive Slovakia, Freedom and Solidarity, the Democrats and the Christian Democrats, stood united at the protests. In a joint statement, they warned, if the government refuses to listen to the people and continues drifting toward Russia, the next protest will be even larger.
Fico will try to scare people by claiming we're planning a coup, but what Slovakia really needs is change. The economy must shift from stagnation to growth. Foreign policy must change from east to west. And behind this will not be Georgians, Soros, or aliens. It will be free, proud Slovak citizens, the same people who stood today on squares across the country. Michal Šimečka, leader of Progressive Slovakia on X social network.
Opposition leaders fear that Fico is following in the footsteps of Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, and that the two could form a mini-coalition capable of undermining European unity. At the same time, some experts note that after his meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy in early September in Uzhhorod, Fico has slightly changed his tone. He assured that he does not want to be part of what he called an energy genocide against Ukrainians, and reaffirmed that Bratislava fully supports Ukraine's accession to the EU. Analysts believe that moving forward, Robert Fico will try to avoid any major fallout within the EU, and will do everything possible to prevent a collapse in his domestic approval ratings. Reported by Irina Yusupova, UATV News.
That seems to be it. It was Henry Keane. We are UATV, and we thank you for standing with Ukraine. Please subscribe so to stay tuned to things that are happening in the world and in Ukraine, shown to you, of course, from Ukrainian perspective. Goodbye.